Everybody got a story to tell. I'm sure you done heard about the young man who wasn't able to graduate. It was only because he was having issues at home. Then trying to provide for his family landed him in a cell for the rest of his life.
Or maybe you heard about the man who did graduate, but before he can get to college, he became a victim to gun violence in a troubled neighborhood.
But see, we don't want to highlight these stories anymore. They only leave the world with a false stigma of what we truly are, which is amazing
Awesome.
and brilliant. We want to tell you about the story of success so we all can start changing that narrative right now. Yo, welcome to the Info Show live at the 4 where we feed your mind, body, and soul. It's your boy, Louis Blaze.
What's up? It's your girl, Fazea Rose.
What's up? It's Crimson Kojak.
Yo. We are here with our third episode of the podcast. It's just been an amazing journey. We already covered so many things. And it's funny because when we got started, it was just me, Kojak, Rio, Levi, and we had you as a special guest for the very first episode.
Yes, we
But
did.
after that, we was like, yo, can you join us? Like, we need you. It was like, you ever seen Temptations when they performed and then David Ruffin sung with them at the event? And they like, man, we need him a part of the squad. That's how it was.
Real squad goals.
I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, thank you for being available. This is truly a dream team. You know, all our brains just working together, covering these topics and really impacting the community, just feeding the people knowledge. That's truly what this is all about. So right away, let's just get into the check-in question. If you can give your future self advice, what would you give it?
Gotta start with me. I remember when you had first asked me that, and later that night, the greatest thing came across my mind, but on the spot don't lose myself, really. Just whatever I do, I don't care where I am in life, just don't lose myself and realize that it's never too late to make that change.
Facts. What about you?
Well, I would give myself a truth. And the truth would be careful when you say no to your spirit. Because every time you say no to it, it damages you and it damages your light. So I'm just now learning to not only say yes to my spirit, but to learn to hear his voice again. Because each and every time I said no to it, I got duller in listening to his voice. And so, yeah, that's what advice I would give myself if I was in the future, right? You said the future.
Yeah, the future. Your future self. Right. It's so funny, right? Because you usually be like, what would I give myself advice, if I could go back? But we talk about future. So, you got to think about where you're going to be at in the future and, what type of advice you're going to get at versus. So, most likely I might be a famous rapper, entrepreneur, or something like that. And the advice that I give myself is stay healthy, keep your health, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Just remain healthy. Don't let anything steer you away from that healthy life. I'm not trying to be clubbing all the time and have my system be all messed up. So, yeah, most definitely stay healthy. But you just said that spirit word, that made me think of the other night. I was watching Ghost Adventures. And I was so scared, y'all. Let me tell y'all. I'm sitting here watching Ghost Adventures where they go into these ghost towns and they trying to connect with these spirits and everything. And while I'm 6 episodes in, because the show is really good and engaging, they was really catching some amazing things. Whoa, this is real. But while I'm watching it, my laptop started playing music. I'm telling you, and it was closed. It was closed. I promise.
Nothing but the devil.
Look, I'm telling you, I jumped up so fast. My heart jumped out my body. I got up. I looked at my laptop. Then it stopped. So it just played a couple words, and then it stopped. I jumped up. I turned all the lights on. I woke Levi up. I was like, "Hey, bro, let's play the game."
You know what's crazy? That's been happening with my laptop sometimes. For no reason, I could be editing something, just music starts playing for no reason.
Yeah. That's funny.
I think our energy interacts with these electronics.
I think so too.
Wow, it was crazy.
And also that ghost that came through your TV and clearly told you to turn that shit off. But you know,
No, it's crazy because I was thinking about like computers and like all technology kind of works like humans do, like with like the way they operate. You know, you got the hard drive stores the memories and stuff. You got the OS, the operating system.
Yeah, exactly, the operating system
and things and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Things
it's
that's
like
been
us
embedded
with no
into
spirit.
It.
Yeah, it's like us operate inside out.
And then
like,
also we get to a point in life where we have to literally hit factory reset and like just completely reboot. We got to get rid of all our psychic pounds and all the negativity that we weigh in on our mind, and we got to hit that reset button
like,
as well.
It's kind of like us, like we're upgrade, but we let things go. We add new things and stuff to the mix. Like I was like, that's crazy in a way. Like kind of like I don't even think it was intentional the way that we made technology, but like we make it like kind of like us, the way it functions and stuff like that, kind of like how a human will function.
Yeah, seriously though. So right now we just want to let y'all know the campaign is live, up and running. If you don't know about the N4 campaign, make sure you go to n4zone.com. There you can figure out what exactly N4 means. New mindset, new media, new leaders, new narrative. Then we want you to join by simply creating what we call a pledge video. When you pledge N4, it means you support our campaign and you will adopt at least one of our 4 powers into your everyday life. And it's just been an amazing journey because so far we've been able to meet so many new people and do so much networking. And actually our special guest today is one of those people we met on this journey by the name of Donte Curtis. Extremely amazing guy. He's full of energy, very outgoing, enthusiastic, and just inspirational. You know, like
importantly, I want to say, like, don't just do it for us. Do it for yourselves. You know?
Oh yeah.
Like, make a change for yourselves in your life.
Oh yeah, that's facts. But yeah, most definitely one of those guys we met was Donte Curtis, and he's the special guest for today. He's an entrepreneur. He has a business. It's Catch Your Dream Consultant, and there what he does training for diversity, equity, inclusive, and also he does professional development training, and he's a public speaker, a very amazing speaker. I actually went to one of his events a few weeks ago, and it was just super dope, so we had to get him on the show. So without further ado, let's call Donte Curtis out. What's poppin', Donte? Where you at, man?
Awesome.
Yo.
Welcome,
Thanks for
welcome,
coming. Thanks for
welcome.
coming.
What's up, y'all?
Thanks
for having me.
Yeah, so first off, just rate your day on a scale of 1 to 1,000.
Today?
Yeah, today.
Oh man, 1,001.
1,001. Hey, I like that. I love when we get good ratings.
I say mine is like in the middle. It's in the middle, you know. Like it's not bad, but like being on this podcast, I'm hoping it goes over 1,000.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's the goal.
Amen. Mine, probably about 300. I got sick with food poisoning last night, so I didn't really sleep well. But other than that, it's been all good. So maybe about 600. I don't know.
Okay. I'm most definitely, I say I'm at 1,001. I'm gonna just be just like that. I'm at 1,001. Yeah. So first off, just seriously, thank you for coming to the show. We're looking forward to really covering some deep things and just picking your brain a little bit, you know, and then getting the knowledge from you too, because you're a very tremendous, outgoing person. So first off, what inspires you? You know, or who inspires you? Like some role models of yours, or like what inspires you to do what you do, go hard every single day?
Yeah. So one of my, first of all, I have a lot of role models. And also thank you for having me on the show, by the way. I think one of my favorite role models that has come up over the last couple of years is Carter G. Woodson, who is the founder of Black History Month. And of course, we're in Black History Month now, but yeah, Carter G. Woodson, like oftentimes when we get black folks or people of color, they tend to talk about a lot of issues, right? And Carter G. Woodson, like, he wrote a book called The Miseducation of the Negro. And in that book, like, he wasn't talking to other people, he was talking to us, right? So you got this black man writing to black people. And that don't happen often, right? Normally you have like academics writing to like the academic world, or you have like, you have us like complaining about our problems. But he was like, no, I'm gonna write a book that is gonna support us as a people to get better. And I think that inspires me just because that's what I do every day, right? I'm not about like complaining and feeling bad. I'm talking to us about how we can get better.
Yeah, you about effectiveness. I feel that.
Yeah, you gotta be, right?
Yeah. I think it's really wasteful to just kind of pick apart and point out the great white devil, like that's what a lot of black people like to do. They like to just focus on how absolute the power of the white man is, and it's just like, for what?
Right.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I tell folks all the time, like we know racism is real.
Yeah.
like I don't need to go to a talk and learn more about how awful racism is. Like we know already. Right.
Yes.
The real question is what are we gonna do about it. And so that's why I think I like Carter G. Woodson, because Carter G. Woodson wasn't about talking about racism. He was talking about us as people and what we can do.
Exactly.
Right. And one of the things that he talked about is so I think it's chapter 12 in his book. He talked about that we need to learn how to make a living. And so he says that a lot of us know how to live, but we don't know how to make a living. And he was talking about entrepreneurship. Right, this back in 1920s.
Right, 1920s.
1920s. Right, he was talking about entrepreneurship, and so I think he inspires me because, yeah, Carter G. Woodson.
That's real. That's real. What you just said.
Inspiration.
And that's almost 100 years ago. That's so crazy to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's 2019 now.
19, yeah.
And we finally getting it though.
Yeah, seriously though, but that about not pointing the fingers at other people and like just taking a look in the mirror and realizing our power, that was the aim that we wanted to take with this campaign, because essentially what it was about was, it's a lot of racial narratives out here, and our campaign was directed to changing the narrative for African American males. But we didn't come up with a campaign saying like, oh, they've been doing this stuff to us and now we got to change that. No, we said we going to look in the mirror. We going to change our mindset. We going to change the media we endure. Right. We going to be leaders, and then we're going to change our narrative. Like you said at the event, actually, in order to change your situation, you got to change your story. So that's exactly what this is all about, and that word power that you mentioned too. Like, it's so much power in these 4 elements. And I just love how everything completely relates to one another. Like, it's what's that word you taught me? Serendipitous? Serendipity. Yes, serendipity. Seriously though. But yeah, he was talking about entrepreneurship. Talk more about entrepreneurship in your business. Catch your dream consulting.
Catch your dream, right?
Yes.
So the first thing that I tell folks is catch your dream, singular, not plural, right? First thing I tell folks, because what we like to do, not just us, but people in general, we have this fascination with doing like 10 million different things, right? You know someone like that, right? Like everybody who listening to this knows somebody who like is doing something on Monday and they're doing something different on Tuesday and they're doing something different on Wednesday and they're doing like we all know someone like that, and for some reason we just fascinated with that, right? We can't focus in on something. So I tell folks, just catch your dream. It's one dream. One focus is important. And so when I think about entrepreneurship, I think about so it's really about focusing on that thing that you really want to do. Yeah. The reason I talk about entrepreneurship a lot is because I personally believe that entrepreneurship is the key to liberation. And so you got people out here talking about equity and talking about liberation, and really what they're saying is that they want people of color, black folks, to be creative, right? We want people to be able to use their creativity to be able to express yourself in the way that you want to be able to express yourself. Right. They're saying that they want people of color to have access to opportunities. They're saying they want people of color to have options and choices, right? And so that's equity, right? I mean, when we talk about equity, that's what we're talking about. When you're talking about inequity, right? Like Minnesota being the worst in education, right? We're talking about people not having access to books, right? We're talking about people not having access to role models, not having access to programs. So that's inequity. So equity is the opposite of that. You do have access, right? Now flip up to entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is that. If I want to take Friday off, I can, right? Like, I have options. I have choices.
Yeah.
I get to determine what I do Monday through Friday. I get to be as creative as I want to be. Catch Your Dream will only go as far as my creativity will go, right? And so when I think about equity, equity is entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship is equity. And so oftentimes we have all these job programs, and all these programs teach people how to get good jobs. And I'm like, no, we need to be teaching people how to go create a job. We need, and right, what's even more important is that we know that, particularly people of color, black folks, right? We know that black people are the number one population in the prison system.
Yeah.
That's a fact, right? Too many people in prison federally. The majority of that are black men, right?
Modern day slavery.
Modern day slavery.
Yeah,
we know this, right?
Prison pipeline.
We know this. I tell folks that, fine, you can't get a good job because you got to check that box. Cool. You know what you can do? You can start a business. You know what the Secretary of State office don't do? They don't ask you to check a box. They don't ask you whether or not you have a felony. They don't ask you what your education level is.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't do that. So here we are saying, well, we need to change the system to support felons when there's already a system called entrepreneurship that already allows people to create a new identity for themselves and get to work.
Yes.
Why are we not talking about entrepreneurship? We need to be talking about entrepreneurship. It is the most equitable thing that I know.
Yes.
So yeah,
It's
that's what I do. That's what I do.
Powerful. Like, I still remember like that feeling in my gut when I went up to the Secretary of State and registered our business IWD for the first time. It was just so much excitement. It's like, wow, we really doing this. We really starting a business.
Right.
And then you get your LLC printed out. It's like, wow, we did it. And like you said, they didn't ask if I was a felon. They didn't need no college degree or any of that. You know,
none of that matters.
Possible. It doesn't.
None of that matters.
It's like, can you solve a problem?
Can you solve a man? Look, in case you don't know, if you're listening, what an entrepreneur is a professional problem solver.
Yes.
And if you can solve a problem, you can be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And the more problems you solve, the more money you make.
Facts. Let me tell you a story actually really fast. So the first time that I realized I was an entrepreneur, even without realizing I was an entrepreneur, but now I realize I was in 6th grade. I was attending ANY the middle school, y'all. Yeah. And I promise you, it was like a trend. Like one day, like everybody was like eating Kool-Aid. I peeped. Everybody started eating Kool-Aid around the school, like the powder Kool-Aid. And I'm looking, I'm like, wow, everybody doing this. So I go home that day and I get the Kool-Aid jar or whatever, and then I made me like some dollar bags of Kool-Aid and brought it to school the next day. I promise you I was booming the Kool-Aid in 6th grade. I promise you I was selling it. I was going home, I was buying $5 Little Caesars pieces for the family.
For the whole family, feed the whole family.
Yeah, my mom, she was like, look, you need candy bars, you need juices, all that, you know. But it was funny because I want to point this out about the education system. They actually made me stop doing that because like it got so hectic to where like students was asking me for Kool-Aid like in the middle of class, like while the teacher is talking. So like they wanted me to stop doing it, so I couldn't have it on me no more. So I started booming out the locker, right? But then they literally made me stop doing that. But then it shows me how they just didn't look at that and was like, wow, he's an amazing entrepreneur. We should like get him on a path to teach him these things. They didn't do that. They criminalized it and made me stop it and was like, get back to this science work, this math work, and all this, which I was struggling in. And I was going to detention all the time. Right. So
they're trying to teach you to abide, not to create.
Yeah.
They don't want you to.
I feel like that. Like it's like they condition you to go this way. There's no like different way around it. Because I feel like a lot of students, like these students, like aren't like no less smart than anybody else. They just learn in different way.
Yes.
They got different learning curves. Yeah, it's like if you don't get it, you're behind. You're not, you're not on the same level as the other students, and then they start putting you in special classes and stuff like that.
Get money from the state to do it.
They like make money, like millions of dollars off one student.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a silver lining in it because at this point, there's only one system that we have to abolish. And like the way that we learn is limitless, so we can create so many different creative ways to learn. But right now at this point, we just battling one thing. Like and I think that's overall what education is. Education is programming. you need to learn to not trust that inner voice and trust this outer voice, because if you trust your inner voice, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be criminalized, and eventually in prison.
Right.
It's like insane.
Yeah. Well, and the crazy part is, so when I was younger, right, folks used to have this debate about are entrepreneurs made or entrepreneurs born, and they used to put it, the phrase as either or. I think it's both. But I had to go and do some studying around like babies, right? So when you look at babies, right? I don't know if anybody y'all have kids, but y'all have nieces and nephews, like you know how babies operate, right?
Yeah.
So you think about when a baby come out the womb, right? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months old up to the 2 years old, right? That baby, first of all, is super curious. They licking on stuff. They touching stuff. They ask you questions, like crazy questions, right? Like, what color is the sky? Why is the sky blue? Like, why I'm like this? Why you like this? Like, where grass come from? Like, they just ask you, like, why this? They are curious, right? Kids also are super creative when they're babies.
And they have no fear.
They also have no fear, right?
That's a good
they
one.
also have no fear. A baby baby can't walk. Baby will get up, fall down, and you don't have to tell that baby to get back up. The baby automatically will get back up and try to walk again. That sounds like an entrepreneur to me, right? We talk in this entrepreneur space. We talk about getting up, and you got to get up and fall down and get up and fall down, or you got to fail fast, or you don't fail, you learn more, right? We talk about all this stuff, but babies already do this. So here we are. They come out the womb, and all their humanity is still intact, and then they go to school, and school will take it away. And so I used to actually think entrepreneurs are made, but now I actually believe everybody's born an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Everybody has this entrepreneurship
Entrepreneurs
thing
are
inside
destroyed.
of you. Right. Entrepreneurs are destroyed, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's an entrepreneur.
And then you gotta redevelop that. Like it's a process of developing
Unlearning
that type of mindset that you had before you could even remember that.
Right.
Stuff like that. So I definitely agree with you when you say it was destroyed and stuff.
Yeah.
The day I graduated high school was the first day of me unlearning, and it's been a continuous process.
That sounds like a book. You might need to write that.
She needs to write a lot of books.
So entrepreneurs I honestly believe entrepreneurs are born, and then all that stuff get destroyed. I mean, it just, man, you just go watch babies, man. Babies are amazing.
Yeah,
they're the greatest teachers.
They're the greatest teachers, right? Yeah. I mean, you don't got to tell a baby about self-care. They understand how to take naps.
Okay.
Right? You know what I mean? Like you got those of you talking about self-care. Like, have you seen the baby?
They know how to get their needs met too.
They know how to. Yeah, they don't mind.
By any means necessary.
They don't mind asking. Right. A baby don't mind asking at all. Right. And you entrepreneur, right? I mean, so in the entrepreneurship race, they say you always selling. In other words, you're asking. That's all it is. You're asking someone to buy something. Man, if a baby's hungry, that baby's gonna let you know.
Oh yeah.
Right? And so babies have this selling mentality, with my air quotes right now. Always that they want something, they're gonna demand that you give it to them. And as an entrepreneur, you kind of gotta have some of that too. If you want something, you gotta go get it.
Right. Because
it ain't gonna be given to you. You gotta open your mouth. Right. And so, I think babies are a perfect example of what entrepreneurship is, and so let's get back to being 1 and 2 and 3.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a very special juxtaposition.
One more thing. Also, babies, because they don't have a concept of hate yet, they will collaborate with everybody. Right? Babies They're trusting. Babies will play with anybody, no matter what their color is, no matter if they're boy or girl. Like, babies play with each other no matter what, until, of course, they get taught in the school that.
Or until a kid takes a toy, then it's same age. They turn. There's no mercy. They defend themselves.
Very territorial, right? Very territorial. Yeah. And so So again, like, I really love studying, that those first 2 to 3 years, because you will find out a lot about how I think humans should be. Because I mean, you come out the womb like you are. I mean, you have been touched by the world. Like, if that's not an image of how you should be, then what is?
Exactly. That's
So
certainly not upon death.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
everybody out there listening, watching, pay attention to babies. Seriously, like,
they can teach you or not. They take naps.
Yeah, seriously though.
Our greatest teachers.
Right. Make sure you have recess. Go outside and play. You know what I mean? Like, I mean. Yeah, so
right, staying healthy, like
practicing your imagination.
Yep,
right.
Be creative, right?
That's what creates our lives, honestly.
Ask questions.
Right. Don't be afraid. Somebody told me one day, like, a really, really good question is like a really, really good compliment. Because seriously, it is. Yeah. You know, I'd have been asked questions to where I had to stop, like, that's a good question. Let me think about this, you know. But at the same time, you get excited to give the answer. Yeah. You know, just being put on that spotlight. But yeah, that's super dope how you pointed that out.
Speaking of questions, if you don't know, you about to learn that I love quotes. One of my favorite quotes is by Albert Einstein. He said that if he had an hour to solve a problem, he would spend the first 58 minutes looking for the right question and the last 2 minutes finding the answer. What?
That was special right there.
He would spend the first 58 minutes looking for the right question and then in the last 2 minutes trying to find the answer. Because if you get the right question, the answer go come real quick.
Wow. That's deep.
Jinx, you owe me something.
I ain't gonna lie.
That's funny because actually, like, for the end of the show, we was gonna ask you to like leave us with some positive affirmation, a quote or something like that. But you just do it naturally, you know. You
just come on up out of here like Skittles.
A sidekick.
Give us another one.
I love quotes. I'm people know who know me. I love quotes. So yeah.
Yeah, we need to. Actually, speaking about questions again, we want to ask you our IWD questions, individuals with dreams. We big with the acronyms. And these questions are, what's your inner self, what's your world self, and what's your dream self? And by inner self, what we mean is like just identify your personality, different traits you have, and like human values, your morals, things you believe in.
Part that no one else sees.
Yeah. And then your world self. So like how you view the world, you know, and how people in the world view you before they get to know who you are. And then your dream self, just talk about your years growing up, what you wanted to be when you was growing up, and then we're gonna dive into the work you're doing now. For sure. Yeah. So what's your inner self?
So my inner self. So at the core of me, I'm a very giving person. I love giving, giving knowledge, giving energy. I'm just a giving person. I think that's me at my core. I do a lot of volunteer work. I love giving. I'm also very grounded. I really know me. I spend a lot of time like doing that inner work that people that your elders talk about you should be doing. I spent a lot of time doing that in college, and so I'm very grounded. I'm very rooted in the Black experience. I think that I'm just super rooted in the Black experience, and so I think that's me. I'm also like I'm a hustler. I mean I'm a go getter. I'm a go getter. That's just who I am. You won't out hustle me. It just won't happen. Like if it's something down there, like I'm gonna get to it before you do. You just not about to. You ain't winning. Right?
Not even a street hustler over in Harlem, New York.
No, I don't care. I don't care. Like you not about to out hustle me. Like LeBron James could be here. He not about to out hustle me. You know what I mean? I think my core is I'm a hustler, right? And so, you know, I stay up and work and wake up early and work and like I don't have a boss, right? So I'm just like that's how I know I'm a hustler, because like I don't even have someone telling me to do it. I just wake up and do it, right? Exactly. like
let's go.
Yeah, like, I just wake up and do it, right? I mean, and I get excited, and so that's the inner self. The world self, how I view the world, I really view the world as a very genuine and loving place, and that's different, right? I mean, because a lot of narratives will tell you that like you need to be on the lookout, you need to be watching out for folks, like right. Don't let your phone down there, someone might take it, and like I don't view the world that way, you know, and you know I understand like some people do, and that's fine, but like I don't like I really genuinely believe people are good-hearted people, the majority of people,
even white folks.
Yeah, I do. I even white folks. I think that people are generally good people, and then our the way that we were brought up, and the things that we see, our history, like condition us. But him, I mean, babies are going back to babies, right? Babies are good people. Babies are innocent. And until you get socialized, and all that stuff start happening, then all that stuff start coming into you, and so, so I think that's how I view the world. I think how the world's view me. I think sometimes the world view me as like super optimistic, right? I'm somebody who's like, always positive, don't have anything wrong, don't, everything's going right. And like, let me tell you, that is further from the truth. Yeah. But again, like, that's how I'm viewed, and that has some pros and cons to it, right? I mean, you don't always want somebody who's at the mountaintop, right? I mean, and I'm not always at the mountaintop, but again, perception, right? That's how people perceive me. I play a little bit into that too, right? I mean, how I dress, how I show up. I'm a high energy person. People have those perceptions on me, and I didn't have to do a lot of work around, like, what does that mean? Like, I mean, some of it is like racism, right? Telling me that I'm a black man. I always do have to be at my A game, right? I mean, right. I mean,
always have to be performing.
I always got to be performing, right? And I mean, of course, that's not healthy, right? I mean, but and I know it's not healthy, but like, I still do it. And so I get these perceptions, right, of like, oh man, like Donte always suited up, or Donte's always talking right, and Donte's always on, and I mean, that, like I said, it has some good and it has some bad. Yeah. Going back to I'm gonna reverse this a little bit. Going back to my inner self though, I'm a real like playful person. Like I love joking around and laughing and like having fun and having a good time, and So I think the inner self and the perceived self kind of get kind of like who I am really. Sometimes that isn't always perceived. Sometimes I'm always perceived as like in the mode, and in business mode, and locked in, and some of it might be true, some of it might not be, but it's important that I deal with my perception, right? Like even if because I know some people right there like, oh, I don't care about how people perceive me. No, I actually do care how people perceive me, and so there's a balance between like me caring and me actually like thinking about like what's that's actually doing to me and how I want to be perceived and all that.
So I got like a quick question.
Yeah, for sure.
Like how you said you like your inner self is playful and stuff like that. And you love being able to hang out and stuff. So do you think the reason you work so hard is because you love those things, and that's why to maintain those things you work so hard to get to, so you can continue that?
Yeah. I mean, when I think about inner self, I think about values. My number one value is freedom. Number one, right? It's why I'm an entrepreneur. It's why I talk about equity. Yeah. And it's why I talk about entrepreneurship. Freedom is important. Like having choices is important. Yes. And in the United States of America, if you need choices, that means you gotta have money. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, the reality is, if you don't have money, you don't have too many choices, right?
Facts.
Like, yeah. Like, I mean, think about it, right? Like, if you have $10, your choices to go out to eat is like McDonald's, Whataburger, Burger King, Little Caesars, right? You can get 2 pizzas for $5. Like, you don't have a lot of choices, right? But if I have $100, like, I got more choices now.
You get salad, kale,
right? Yeah, you can eat healthy food, right?
It's so frustrating when you forced to get some fast food.
It's the most frustrating thing in the world.
So frustrating, yeah.
It's the most frustrating.
I remember that. I remember those days.
It's rough. It's rough, right? And so, to your point, yes, I think that's why I stay locked in, because I know that if I want to have freedom, there's some things I gotta do to make sure.
Fight for it.
You gotta fight for it. You gotta go get it. Because freedom is the ultimate goal, right? I mean, seriously, I want to be able to wake up and like decide whether or not I have to work today, right? Like, and people look at me all the time, be like, "Well, until you're 25." No, you don't understand. There are days where I like choose not to go to work. Right? I choose to stay at home and like hang out and not do anything, even at 25, like because when I go hard, I go hard. You know what I mean? Exactly. When I'm getting it
for real.
And so yeah. I mean, and that's probably why, because when people see me out there, like. Yeah, I gotta go get it.
I think we forget that freedom isn't necessarily free. You gotta like fight for it.
No, freedom ain't free.
Hey, I got it tatted. Freedom fighter.
Right? Yeah, freedom ain't. Yeah, freedom has never been free.
Yeah, it's not. I think I feel like sometimes we can have that misconception that freedom should be free, but like I feel like with freedom, for me, I gotta fight for it. I gotta obtain it with my own hands. Otherwise, it first off, it'll never truly be mine, and second off, I just don't really. I like getting it for myself. I want to be the go-getter for myself. I don't want anyone else to be the go-getter for me.
Right, right.
Plus, it's so much sweeter when you fight for it.
It's that journey.
It's that journey. Yeah. One of my favorite historians. I have a lot of historians, so I'm just about to be interjecting quotes, and then at the end I'll give you another one.
Yeah.
But Frederick Douglass, Y'all know that guy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah, you know that guy. He says that freedom always comes at a cost, right?
Yeah.
Like to your point, freedom is never free, right? People just don't give up freedom.
Yeah.
People just don't give up. Like people just don't give up freedom. Yeah,
Choose this.
yeah. Nah, you got to go fight for this thing. And so Frederick Douglass talked about that. So yeah.
Even on a micro level, like even on like a intimate level with myself, I found that when I decided to attain freedom for my spirit, I had to literally enslave my ego, my shadow self, and that was hard for me to accept because I'm like, what? This is free? You know, I'm supposed to be free. You know, like what's going? Like, yeah, and I immediately entered another battle for my freedom, but it's just like a different type of battle. Because as before, I was just battling my shadow self, just kind of being free, and it was costing me. You know, it was taxing on my body and my personal life and my interactions, my relationships with my family members and stuff. You know, but now like it's a different type of battle, and it does cost. But it's, I don't know, it's strangely liberating. Like, I mean, not liberating because of course that's what freedom is, but it's strangely like satisfying, like on a different level than, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's real.
But I do feel like there is like one thing that is free. Like you could, like, even if you don't necessarily get freedom, you can choose to just, you know, stay in a state where you just want freedom and stuff like that, or you can choose to pursue freedom. I feel like that's the one thing that
Choice.
people, like that no one can really take from me, no matter what. That I can either choose to fight for my freedom, or I can choose to just sit there, let my ego be in control, feel entitled to freedom, and never actually pursue getting freedom.
Yeah, I heard this one quote. It was, freedom is the pause in between the trigger and response and making a choice. Because like God gave us, like, gave the human species like the best, biggest power of all, and it's kind of a blessing and a curse, but it's the ability to be able to choose. You know, our mind and our brain is so powerful, you know, and we control what we do on an everyday basis.
Right.
But a lot of times, like going back to what you said about the babies, how they just genuinely do things and everything is natural. But when you interact with society, you get seeds planted in your head, and you go through certain trauma and certain experiences that really affect the way you react, you know. And that made me think about your speech, actually, when you brought up Sam Newton and the laws for every action.
Isaac Newton.
Yeah. Isaac Newton.
Isaac Newton. He said Sam Newton. Isaac Newton.
Right. I don't know why I said Sam.
I just caught that.
I don't know why I just said
He was
Sam.
going along with it. He was like, yeah, I know Sam Newton. Yeah.
That was a good quote.
My thing was like, I was like, it's like Sam Newton. I felt like Sam Newton had some relation to like Isaac Newton, but I was like,
Who is Sam Newton?
Yeah, right.
What was the actual quote again?
Say it again.
What was the actual Isaac Newton quote that he's referring to?
Oh, so of course Isaac Newton, for people who don't know, the laws of gravity, right? So the first law of gravity is the law of inertia, that an object will keep going until something interrupts it. And so, for example, like if you roll a basketball, like if there was no gravity, the ball would just keep going into infinity. And so the second law is that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so I think that's the one that I used.
Yeah.
For you, is that when something comes into your psyche, right? Like you have to spit it back out. Like it comes in and it has to go back out, right? Carter G. Woodson again, right? I used this quote at the end of that talk. He said in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro, that if you can control a man's thoughts, then you control his actions. That you don't have to tell him to go to the back door, that he's going to go to the back door anyway. And if there is no back door, he's going to create a back door because his education demands it so. Right? And so like what he's really talking about is like, again, what you were talking about, Louis, that like because we have these thoughts in our minds, it does affect our actions.
Yeah.
And it has to. And so, you know, this is why, you know, talking about Kanye a little bit, when Kanye was talking about like slavery is a choice, like, nah, like people people make the best choices that they believe are available to them, right? And so because we have to be able to articulate how to, so we have racism, right? Like no person, well, I won't say no person, but a lot of people will argue that racism is real, right? Like that's a pretty known fact. I mean, people People for decades have said racism is a real thing.
Yeah.
But then you have choice, right? And so how do you marry these two things? That like if you have choice, then how are brown and black people, in poverty? Well, they're not choosing to be there, right? Like nobody would choose to be in that situation,
No,
right? But it's because media and messaging and their environment
and ancestral trauma, just all that.
and historical trauma, right? Right? That has influenced their psyche, which then influence their actions. And so we have to be careful about how we talk about choice, because choice isn't just this like, oh, just choose to do better. Like no, like I grew up in. So let me give you an example real quick. I grew up in the hood in Houston, Texas. Okay, I'm from Houston, and in Houston,
that's the hood.
right?
They used to be on the first 48 all the time.
For real. Right, Homestead Road, right, Mesa, right, Lakewood, yeah, you ain't right about that. So in Houston, Texas, right, where I grew up, in the hood, right, we don't really have a major grocery store. We had some high expensive grocery store called Fiesta, right, but in our so my house is like here, and then you walk like a quarter of a mile, and there's a huge shopping center, and then you go down this street, there's another shopping center. Okay, within these shopping centers, right, I mean literally we're talking within a half a mile square radius, there was an Easy Pun there was another Easy Pun down the road, and there was two payday loan places. Okay, now if you know anything about Easy Puns or payday, and not easy like EAZY, actually Easy Pun, okay, but payday loan places have interest rates of 800% and higher. Okay, does that sound rational? No. Who would pay 800%? Yeah. That's not rational. Nobody, right?
Not at all.
like nobody would want to pay 800% interest rate. But there's not another option in the environment, and so when people have financial crisis, their choices are what they see, and so they're going to go to that payday loan place and go get a loan for 2 weeks, pay a $35 fee for that loan, for a $100 loan, right? $35 for $100, and then have to pay 800% interest. Okay,
that's ridiculous.
But when you listen to it, it actually don't sound rational.
No,
because it's not rational. But you can't. But you can't. Choice doesn't. Right. So if we're talking about choice, right? They chose to do that. But like,
did they really have an option?
Did they really have an option? Right? They didn't have. Right? I think they didn't have an option.
They were ignorant of any other choice.
They were ignorant of any other choices. Right.
So is it really a choice?
Is it really a choice? Right. That's the point. And so again, we have to be careful when we talk about choice, right? So I give you one more example. I came up here to go to college in Minnesota, right? Minnesota and Houston is 1,300 miles apart, right? The college that I went to is in a little small town about an hour north of the Twin Cities. A little kid from Houston, Texas would not know about that college in Minnesota in a little small town from Houston, Texas. Now, granted, was that a choice for me? Well, yeah, but it only became a choice when my mama told me about the college.
Right.
Right? And so then it became a choice that I was able to make. But oftentimes we talk about choice, we got to be real careful when we talk about choice and oppression, because you're not about to tell me that brown and black people choose to be in those situations, or that women choose to get paid less than men, or that women choose to be sexually assaulted by men. Like, no woman would actually choose that.
Exactly.
Right? There has to be something else going on here. So that's all I'm gonna say about choice. I just get worked up because that's the world that I'm in, right? I'm in this success world that talks about you can choose a better future, you can choose to pull yourself out your bootstraps, and I'm just like, but that don't work when we talk about oppression. There has to be something else here. That's what Kanye West was talking about. People chose slavery. Like, no. What human in their right mind would choose to be a slave? That don't even make sense.
Yeah, it don't make sense.
And so I try and at CYD we really try and get people thinking about it, and get people some critical analysis about how choice and how success works together.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And looking at it from like multiple lenses, like that's extremely important. What would you like to say?
With that, like, it kind of just changed the way I see it now. Like it's not about really necessarily making like creating choices for people. It's creating awareness for people so that they can make that choice for themselves.
Right.
Like, it's like giving them that awareness to what's going on around them. I really like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
And like I remember I was having that same debate with somebody because I saw on the news how it was a huge like fire in California somewhere, or like a volcano or something. It was just a huge fire.
Like forest
And
fire.
yeah, like a forest
Yeah.
fire. And they literally had like prisoners fighting these fires but getting paid like I think it was like $1 an hour.
Yep.
No,
Yeah, it
that's
was,
too much.
it probably was
Probably like 3 cents an hour. Like they was.
it was
yeah,
some
something
ridiculous
crazy.
number,
Yeah, something
some
crazy.
ridiculous number.
Right.
And I'm like, that is not right.
Right.
And then somebody commented on there, was like, those prisoners chose to fight those fires. Like, are you kidding me? How?
Right.
A prisoner, somebody who's never outside, like, if I've been stuck in between these walls and I get the opportunity to go outside and just smell fresh air again, like, I'm gonna take advantage of that opportunity, right? So like, did they really have an option?
No,
That's
like-
not right. How they was getting paid like that.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean,
Yeah, that's choice.
They
They
say it's
have-
volunteer, but it's not really
Yeah, like, it's
volunteer.
one of those things like they didn't have like a option that really benefited them, and like for their future, because they gotta go. At the end of the day, they gotta go back into that same prison.
Right.
It's like-
And a lot of those prisoners are suffering from health problems from the inhalation of the smoke
Come on.
for
now.
the rest of their lives, and they
Come on
don't get
now.
insurance. They don't get a little severance
Well,
check to take care of their medical
yeah.
bills.
just to save
nothing.
someone else's house and property.
Right. Yeah. And yeah. So some more facts.
tired of the
No,
colonizers.
y'all good. For some more facts, we know that in 2019, that people who are in prison and have felonies have less rights than slaves did. They have less rights than slaves did. Like, think about that for a second. Like I mean, we talk about slavery as like this like big major thing, but like in 2019, these people got less rights than our ancestors did. Like, so what do we call it? Like, we need another word for what's happening in our prison system, because slavery ain't like it's worse than slavery.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you think about slavery, like slavery was awful. People were still giving housing in some cases, depending on the color of your skin, of course. I mean, if I'm light, I probably would have been in the house, and and some of the darker people would have been in the outside. But like some of those people were given beds to sleep in, right?
The house Negro and the field Negro.
Right.
I remember Malcolm X was talking.
Malcolm
about
X was
that.
talking about this, right? Like people were allowed to give birth to your kids. Now, of course, after they, if you haven't read Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, you should read this. She talks about slavery and just the trauma, kind of what you was talking about, just as historical trauma and how it passed down and all this. But like we just recently, according to Van Jones, they just recently passed a bill that actually, so before they passed this bill, late 2019, women were required to be in chains to give birth. Right? Like, so here we are talking about 2019, but like women are required to be in chains to give birth in 2018
As an imprisoned woman.
as an imprisoned woman, but you could give birth in slavery.
Free.
Like
free of change.
Yeah, free of change.
Wow.
Like they
That's
like are you kidding me? Like so like, people talk about, oh yeah, this is the new Jim Crow. Like no, this is worse.
Like
Anyway.
it's just like subliminal in a way. Like it's not like people don't really think about it like that. They don't have that perspective on it, and that's why people don't think it's that bad, and they think it's something different. It's when the
just don't
conditions are really worse.
They just
It's
don't
like it's less.
And
it's
they have
less
the
direct.
illusion of guilt.
Right.
Like this woman's guilty, that's why she's in a chain. This
Yeah,
woman-
yeah,
blah, blah,
right.
blah,
It's-
whatever.
it's like-
and back in the slavery days, it was the same thing. That's a nigger. That's why they're enslaved.
Yeah,
like it was a dehumanization. Like,
Yeah.
Correct me. Like slavery ended like 300, 400 years ago. Like how long ago?
it was what, only like 200?
I
That
think
if you
250.
think about it, a human can live up to like at least 100 years if they eat properly. That's like 2 generations ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like really.
Yeah.
It was only like 150 years ago, right? Like slavery was abolished 1867, I think. Yeah, it was less than 200 years ago.
Like it's
Well,
like
I'll say
people-
the Emancipation Proclamation, with Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, and people have the nerve to act like it was it was way further than that. Like that, like my grandma's grandma.
Yeah.
Was enslaved.
Was enslaved.
Right. Yeah.
Period.
So,
I think about that too. About what you just said. That just sparked another light bulb. That my grandma's grandma thing. Like about how we'd have been like disconnected from our like family history. Because like me personally, I don't even know my great grandpa. Like neither on my mom's side or my dad's side. And that's just my great grandpa.
Right.
You know. So and I think about that, and it's truly like I don't know, it's just mind boggling when you think about something like that. Because I be hearing people talk about like, yeah, my great grandmother was this and that and had this business. And I'm like, wow.
You know that. That's crazy. Right. You know the first colonizers who came over here and killed all the Native Americans. That's crazy.
Actually,
it's crazy to me.
In school, like for my project, I'm actually reading about slavery and stuff like that, and like why it led to that. Like part of it was because they like with Native Americans, they were trying to oppress them first, like enslave them.
Well,
first.
they didn't try. They did.
They did.
They killed them.
They did.
Yeah, genocide is real.
They weren't satisfied with just enslavement of Native Americans.
Yeah, and that's why they went over to Africa.
Right. Well, so can I give you say you're in school?
Yeah.
Is this high school or college?
High school.
Okay. So we know that you probably ain't got the full history. Can I add
Exactly.
Yeah. Can I add some more to it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So again, we're talking about new narratives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Part of new narratives is that yes, right? So they did come over here to so Christopher Colombo, right? 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. He came over here trying to expand the Catholic Church. We won't talk about that piece of it. However, they enslaved the natives, and then they committed genocide, and the natives couldn't actually deal with the labor. And right, they
would get sunburned.
They would get sunburned, right? They was
exhaustion.
outside, like they took them from their environment and moved them, and so that they were getting sick. They were actually dying off. So then they had to go to Africa, where slavery was kind of already happening, and say, well, we need people who can withstand the elements. Right, and so when we talk about black folks as like being weak, man, no, you don't understand. Like they brought, like, you had to endure, first of all, Africa and what was going on over there, and then you had to endure the transatlantic, like the journey, right? Like
8 months.
Yeah, I mean we're talking months on a boat, right? Where like if you got sick, they would just throw you overboard,
Right.
Like
No space to move. You was shackled, right?
If you urinated, then it just trickled down to the bottom. Like we're talking, like, and these people survived all that. Man, that don't sound like weakness to me. We're resilient.
For real.
Right?
Very resilient.
We're resilient as a people.
And
I mean, yeah.
I was about to say that because that reminded me of what you said earlier, how we need to realize the power that we have, and how so many times in our history we always idolize these leaders, which is important. We have to identify the ones who are brave, but at the same time, like you said earlier, we all could
that's
be
in us.
Yeah, that's in us too. All of us could be MLK. You know, all of us could be Malcolm X.
Yeah.
You know, and speak on that a little more too.
Yeah,
like how you said you feel we should celebrate even more leaders.
So happy Black History Month if I haven't told you.
Yes.
Black History Month is every month, but I think this month is special because the world celebrates Black History Month, right? I mean, you can celebrate Black History all you want, but this month the world celebrates it. And I think the huge piece about Black History Month for me is to uplift the voices that don't get uplifted, right? So we know that the top 3 people that people talk about is MLK, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and that's fine. And you know, like we need to talk about those people. But I believe what that does to us, that actually, I think it actually hurts. I wrote a paper about this in college, that idolizing MLK actually hurts black folks more than helps us. Okay, so let me tell you my thinking on this. That MLK is this exceptional leader. He's an exception to the rule. He was a great orator. Probably one of the best orators that this planet has probably ever seen, I can argue. He was a pastor, and we idolize pastors in the black church like none other. Mm-hmm. He was somebody who could inspire and captivate an audience. That's partly why he was even chosen to be the spokesperson for the civil rights movement. But in doing so, well, let me also say that he also is deemed as perfect. We have a thing about perfectionism, and we can talk about religion and what that does and all that, and God, and that's a different story. But I think in us identifying this man as somebody who's on his pedestal, well, if MLK is all that, and he speaks good and he does all this, well, I'm not that, and so I'm not a leader. And that's where I think the hurt started to come, because we are then looking for an MLK, right? We're looking for a leader to come and save us, to be our savior. We're looking for a President Obama. We're looking for somebody else to lead.
Waiting for it.
We're waiting on somebody else to come lead us, right? And I think that's detrimental to people of color, and especially black folks. Instead, what I think we should do is we should focus on other people in the civil rights movement, like IDB Wells,
right,
or Fannie Lou Hamer, or Ella Baker. You know Ella Baker. I want to challenge people to actually go Google Ella Baker.
Hear that?
Go Google Ella Baker and Google some of her quotes. Ella Baker accused MLK of stealing her stuff. Right, so Ella Baker had SNCC, and then the Student Non-Violence Coordinating Committee, which still exists today, and then MLK had the Southern Leadership Christian Council, which was a conglomerate of churches, right? Yeah. She actually accused them of stealing the way that they did their stuff, right? But Ella Baker also said something that is by far one of my favorite quotes. She said that strong people don't need strong leaders. Mm-hmm. And I think to her point, she was really referencing that, like, we don't need an MLK. We can be strong leaders. And if you really do a critical analysis of the civil rights movement, you will know that the civil rights movement was not just MLK.
No, not at all.
Like anybody who has actually studied will know that Freedom Summer of '62, a whole bunch of young people, right? This is why I think, the young people led the civil rights movement, right? I mean, these were young people. Rosa Parks was young, right? I mean, MLK was young, right? I mean, he was assassinated when he was 39. So MLK was young.
Crazy.
And so again, we talk about changing the narrative. I'm 25.
I'm 21.
You're 21. You're
18.
Right, you're 18. How old are you?
I'm grown.
Right, you grown. All right, she grown.
Yeah.
And so I think like this whole narrative around like young people need to start leading. No, you don't understand. Young people have already been leading, right? When the Parkland thing happened in Florida, and that shooting happened in Parkland and all over the nation, young people are stepping up now. No. Young people have always been at the forefront of our movements. The civil rights movement couldn't have happened without young people. Colleges and college students and high schoolers, and so we need to start uplifting that narrative more.
That's real.
That young people have been doing this for a long time.
Exactly, been doing it. That's so real. I know we got to wrap up in these next few minutes. Before we exit, I actually want to play a game with you.
I like games.
Yeah.
Actually, before that, we forgot to ask. Did we ask him his dream self? Like because we kind of like spiraled off into this.
Yeah, we did spiral off into this, but I mean, in the conversation, he pretty much spoke about it. Really,
he did.
Yeah.
Just want to.
It was like it naturally came out.
There you go.
Yeah, it like naturally came out.
That's what I like to call flow.
Yeah, exactly. Flow. For real.
There's a good book called Flow. You should read it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add that to
he done dropped like 4-5 books for y'all, some quotes, everything. I know whoever watching this, y'all are way smarter than y'all was when y'all clicked on this episode.
That's a good book.
Seriously.
Just went up real quick.
Yeah. Let's do this alliteration challenge really fast before.
I love alliteration. Okay.
Yeah. So wait. Before we
use
how do I play
the
letter, we got to show how to play the game. Yeah. So how the challenge goes. So you said you love alliteration. You familiar with it. So we just go back and forth saying different words that start with the same letter. Okay. And then it's just 3 rules. 1, you got to respond within the next 3 seconds. Okay. 2, the word has to be at least 4 letters. Okay. And then 3, you can't repeat a word that was said already. Okay. Yep. So all of us could play, and then
let's go.
Let's do it.
I love.
Yeah.
Right. Who wants to start?
We're gonna have Sequel give us a letter, and then he's gonna give us a 3, 2, 1 action, and then you could get it started, and we'll just.
And then are we just going in the alphabet?
No, not in the alphabet. We're gonna say the same. We're gonna use the same letter that he
all
tells
4 of
us.
us. Okay. Got it.
Until one of us mess up.
Oh, got it. Okay, got it.
G.
Greatness.
Gynecology.
Gorgeous.
Great.
Gold.
Goals.
Greasy.
Grape.
Gargantuous.
Garden.
Giraffe.
Goddess.
Gravy.
Golden.
Gigantic.
Guru. We got Donte.
Gotcha.
I didn't think we was gonna get you, man.
It's like it was the most random letter.
It was.
It's
That was
super
a
random.
really good
That was
letter.
really
Thank you for
good.
that sequel.
I thought you was
It's
gonna
kinda
do X. I was
grimy.
mad.
Oh man, no. Man, man, I did the X with.
I thought you was gonna do X. I was gonna be like, xylophone, and then you can have fun with that.
Yeah. I did. Somebody did X with. We did X with the mayor, and I don't know how you know so many X words. And he took xylophone
smart.
from me.
Yeah.
And then I said X-ray, and then I was done.
That was
after
it.
that. I was done.
Yeah.
But it made me search up X words though, for
Right,
sure. But this was an amazing episode. Can you just let the people know where to find you at?
Yeah,
How to get in
so-
contact with you? They want to do some business.
Yeah. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Catch Your Dream. .D Curtis .DCURTIS, or just search Catch Your Dream on Facebook. Add me on Facebook. Yeah, my email is DonteCurtis23@gmail.com. You can email me. Looking for stuff. 2019 is gonna be exciting. Come join. Come learn. Come inspire.
Facts. This was very powerful. So make sure y'all subscribe if you haven't done so already at IW Dreams.
Yeah.
Make sure you join the campaign. Stay updated. Hit this brother up. He's doing so many amazing things. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you
It's
for
your
having
boy Louis Blaze. Live. This the info show live at the Foe, where we feed your mind, body, and soul. I'm out.
Howdy.
Audi always strive to learn.
Hey, this is Donte Curtis reminding you to catch your dream.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.